Wow, 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 yippee yo, yippee yay. Welcome back to Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die. My name is Grant. You can call him Chip. And as promised for 2 weeks running, you knew this was coming, people. We have a special guest in the call with us. Please introduce yourself as you would like to be introduced.
That's right. It's me, Ikks, and I'm here instead of new content.
Like I hinted last week, Ikks has been with the show since before the show existed. You might recognize her work as the artist of our channel art, our little square. Yeah. You know, the square that you look at?
I love that square.
The color square for eyes, which is as opposed to the sound circle for ears.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's 3 of them so far. There's going to be more. Everyone is very excited for how you squeeze a 4.
Yeah, everybody thinks they know what I'm going to do, so obviously I can't do any of that. Like in classic Lost story writer style.
I've been very excited to get you on the show because I know you are a big old JoJo head. That's what y'all call yourselves, right? JoJo heads? You're one of them.
I think it's also just cheese heads, just like the one sports team. That's just really confusing.
How did you come upon, what is your path to this point where you're talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the public consumption of the world?
Great question. Well, like the first memory of JoJo's that I have is looking at some Wikipedia article or something just describing various fantasy-y stories because I like weird fantasy sci-fi crap like this. They said like, oh yeah, the characters in this have powers called stands, and I was like, do they have like weird coat hanger looking staffs or something? I was just like desperately confused how a stand could be powerful, but it turns out the word has almost nothing to do with them, so it's fine. And then there weren't even stands for like the first 2 parts then when I finally read it.
The justification they give in that first episode is very suspect.
Yeah, you know, they stand by you. Like the song, Stand By Me. I think that's a song. I don't know. I read lots of manga, honestly. Just always looking for new, interesting stories, and at the time, you don't get much more new and interesting than JoJo's if you've never read it before. It's like even from the beginning in the manga, it's very obvious that just Araki is having a lot of fun just doing whatever the hell he wants, and it's hard not to enjoy that spirit, I guess.
And you are, correct me if I'm wrong, but like primarily a manga fan of JoJo's. Like you are actively reading month to month.
It's true.
By the time people have heard this, you will have read the conclusion to part 8.
That's true. I, and absolutely no one else, even though it comes out this month, I'm the only one who gets to see it.
Whoa.
And it's fucking great because, like, they said ahead of time, hey, the one next month is going to be the last chapter. And then last month he started a new flashback side story. So it's just like, I guess this is going to explain everything from the rest of the series, I hope, or not. It'd be like that.
It sounds a little bit like a future part, which also ended, and then it just kept going, and then had, like, a big flashback to, like, contextualize a bunch of stuff, and it was so strange.
Yeah, he's definitely doing that.
I have never seen, at least in anime, a story end by hitting the climax and then keep going with a side story that just kind of recontextualizes things in like a really small, not super important way, and that's the ending.
Yeah.
When you climax, but Araki keep expositing. For a little more context on why you are here this week instead of any other of our recap episodes, when it came time to line up part 3 guests, you were one of the first I went to, and you're like, I want to talk about this portion because I want to talk about Iggy.
Yeah, like this is... It just seemed most appropriate. This little fucking freak.
So let's start with Iggy. Let's talk about Iggy.
It's a shame that it's not illustrated as well in the anime as in the manga, but one of the classic things about Iggy is that he started out like extremely ugly bug-eyed and then got more and more like anime protagonist dog as he went along.
Iggy has a glow up pretty quick.
Glow up. It's pretty amazing. It's just like, yeah, I thought I was going to hate this dog character, so I made him ugly, but actually I like him, so fuck it. Redesign.
Now he's cool. Now he's cool when he farts.
Is Iggy the next iteration of the tag-along kid? Because, like, it seems somewhere along the line, Araki decided, whatever is happening, we need a child to tag along.
That doesn't really continue as much in future parts, and I'm glad, because especially since they just kind of, like, come and go and swap out with each other and don't really do much, I'm glad that's not really a theme that he continues, but I guess it's some kind of, like, audience analog, like, this kid is so confused and so are you, but in reality it's like, no, I'm not really confused, they're just gonna like beat up this gorilla or whatever.
But exactly, if they're going to come and go and have the spotlight wax and wane, if it's a person, you wonder, why are they still around? Like, who is responsible for this child? But if it's a dog, they could just do that. Nobody asks those questions.
That's true, he fucking cracked the code. Which is also why Iggy just, like, half the episodes in this part are either complicated or solved by Iggy just wandering off and reappearing at a random time.
There is a real trend where, like, the first half of this quarter, the first stretch of the In Egypt season, Iggy saves the day every time. And then Iggy's just a guy. He's there for gags. He's not fixing shit anymore. He's done his part.
Yeah,
he might not even be in the episode.
Iggy's like, fuck you, pay me. Like,
I don't remember if some of these scenes are in the manga or not, but there's at least like 2 episodes where the story is bouncing between 2 different groups. The gang's been separating, they're different places, like in the Mariah episodes, where it's just like, hey, here's the fight with, Joseph and Avdol. That fight's wrapping up as the Alessi fight is starting. They communicate that not just by having the camera go over there, but like Iggy is over there now.
He has a little adventure.
He had a little adventure, and that's how we explain that this new fight is happening concurrently with the end of the previous episode's fight.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't read the Part 3 manga in too long to remember that, but it does feel pretty anime-esque.
Yeah.
Because I remember the chapters in the manga at that point being a little bit more separated up and serialized. That's actually another thing about Part 8. I'm glad that it's all done now, and I would recommend that people who are interested go read it now, because unlike Part 3, which was definitely more enemy/monster of the week, Part 8 is like this weird Lynchian nightmare mystery, and he's also in the monthly magazine but now, so it's like, by the time a release comes out, it's like, what the fuck is even happening anymore? It's not like any of the dialogue helps either. Everybody has quotes around everything, like they're all just constantly high.
Yeah, not to get like too far into future parts, especially parts that won't be animated for like
this is the part of the podcast where Ironicus doesn't get to participate.
It's okay, I've got a dog. Who is not a bug-eyed freak. She's actually quite fluffy.
Aw.
Oh, don't think about how fucked up it would be if Araki drew your dog.
I would fear for her life. Oh my god.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's also a good reaction.
She'd be like that one dog you see in Part 2 that's the world's oldest puppy.
Oh my god.
It'd be like
right.
that. And then a Pillarman would save her by chopping a car in half. But yeah, like I know very small bits about, because I've only ever gone up through Part 5. I haven't read ahead of that. But I know a little bit about the premise of each part afterwards. I keep hearing little bits about like what Part 8 is supposed to be about, and I don't know what any of those words mean.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I have no... Like, at this point, all I know about Part 8 is that seemingly, like, I'm pretty sure there are still stand fights, but it just sounds like a waking nightmare.
Yeah, Waking Nightmare is pretty accurate. One point they're, like, dueling with beetles. Like, they're making beetles fight, and then one of them uses their stand to, like, melt some wax inside one of the beetles to make the beetle mad to make him fight harder.
Which is a banned performance-enhancing strategy. Like, that will not stand in international beetle wrestling competition.
Yeah, that's why he had to fucking use his stand. It's pretty amazing the direct comparisons that can be made between Part 8 stands and stands from other parts, like Avdol's The Magician, Pyromancy. That compared to in Part 8, it's like only heating up tiny areas at a time, but still manages to be fucking deadly because he's like, Araki is just thinking of all these complex plots where it's like, I don't even know how to describe. It's no longer an action-adventure genre, it's just a JoJo genre.
Yeah. The only stand I've heard of that I think is from Part 8 is a stand that is just a tiny trebuchet made out of sticks, and
Yep.
if you touch a stick directly to your skin, like it melts you or something, I don't fucking know. It's
Yeah, you
just
don't
a
wanna touch
pile
the
of
sticks.
angry sticks, and it wants to kill you.
Don't touch the sticks. Yeah, there's also a tank tread dog who I'm sure...
Fuck yeah. Okay. Now I gotta read it.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's complete, you'll actually be able to remember what's happening chapter to chapter, which will be a huge benefit.
That's great. Because, yeah, that took like 10 years.
Yeah, like luckily for Araki's health, he got put in the monthly magazine,
Yeah.
which was good for his health, bad for chapter pacing. But again, now it's all done, so read it all at once.
Because Rocky's like in his early 60s now, I think.
Oh, he must be. That or like 120,000, because he like looks like the Mona Lisa, might be an immortal fairy. It's hard to say.
He based the Pillarmen on himself.
Yeah, that's just his backstory. Cars is just Araki's own life story if he had decided to be evil instead of good.
And we all have the power to make that choice. I think that's the real lesson of JoJo.
That's the choice we make every day, whether to, kill a dog or not.
Some people wake up and they choose dog violence.
Oh, I fuck those people, honestly.
On Netflix, like I know every single show has multiple different thumbnails, and there's some ridiculous algorithm they run to try and pick the optimal thumbnail for you.
Oh, that's great.
So the thumbnail that Netflix has always chosen me for JoJo is just a lineup of the Pillarmen looking hot and naked. And I don't know what that says about me or the algorithm.
Now that I think about it, I feel like it's constantly giving me fucking Iggy, so I guess that checks out. Fuck you, Netflix.
There was a brief period of time when we first started this podcast where the thumbnail was just young Jonathan and Dio from like the second episode. And then the instant I hit part 2, it's just always been the Pillarmen, and it's never switched.
That's great. Netflix. Man, I want to, read a printout of what Netflix thinks of us as people. Like, big buff man, oily.
Anime freak.
Yeah, that's the thing about
Dog?
part 3. Nobody's
Dog?
shirtless enough. What's up with that?
This guy watching Netflix keeps switching between big buff JoJo anime and then old reality show from the 90s. Don't know what this means. Getting confused.
You just short-circuited it.
So, back to part 3.
I guess. I guess that's what the podcast is about.
I think one striking change that we've hit since our last, pause and discussion is that, before landing in Egypt, the stands are generally the big characters, and after, it's nearly always the user, and that change is reflected in the new title format, right?
Yep, it's pretty interesting.
Immediately that switches. I think it's also interesting how the possessive is not what you would expect. Set's Alessi rather than Alessi's set.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
What
is up with that?
I don't know. I think that changes for the manga titles.
What is up with that?
Yeah. I think that changes for the manga titles as well. It's not just the show.
Yeah, I believe so. That is how it originally was. It's not something that he really goes into more in this part, and it's not really even something that he goes into more in any other official part, but there is one character in a side story who kinda has similarly godly origins for their powers, and they are also similarly described as being possessed by that deity, basically.
We have Anubis, who's very explicitly
Yeah, exactly. They don't use the same language, but it seems to be a very similar thing.
As I theorized last week, Thoth, I think, counts. We never hear her speak, but, come on. She's just fucking with everybody.
Yeah, she's just having a grand old time.
But I think shifting, away from the big gross monster to the person bound to the big gross monster in most cases, is what allows things like Anubis to really stand out as a new, different thing, but also just the variation in the presentation of stands. Like if you had Bast show up in the first half, you would have a cat monster instead of an electrical outlet on a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot like how the design of protagonists has gradually gone from Fist of the North Star style muscle boys to more contemporary Bishonens, basically. Yeah, I don't know. One of the most interesting things about JoJo, yeah, definitely, is that, like, you can kind of feel him. I don't want to just say getting bored with concepts. There are a few uncharitable series about, like, how Araki forgets things, and I'm a little like, I don't know about all that, but I think he definitely does, like, change the focus of what he wants to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leaves it pretty open. Definitely is experimenting with more, I guess, kind of an inversion of what they did in the strength fight, where it was like, oh, here, what the hell's going on? Where's the stand? Where's the user? Where it's like setting up the mystery to be resolved by the revelation of the identity and power, rather than just a straight up fight.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was an interview I read or what, but I feel like I read something about Araki where, yeah, like you said, there is that joke or meme online that Araki just forgets things, but his actual explanation was something along the line of, if I get bored of an idea I had that I set up previously that I think isn't going to turn out interesting, I am just going to dump it and do what I think is cooler now. And like, that might make things frustrating at times, but also I kind of admire the ability to just go like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm doing something cooler.
Yeah,
Do you want to read the cooler thing? What?
Yeah.
Do you want to read something that is boring the person writing it? Do you really?
Yeah, totally. Doesn't really seem like a guy who even can write something that he's not excited about.
Yeah,
but honestly, that's also like, I don't know, that's also a little bit better than being completely beholden to, I don't know, the editorial department and like character popularity polls where it's just an algorithm of these two are the most popular, make them fight. Make them fight now, please.
If I remember correctly, the whole reason why Avdol even comes back to life was just because people really liked Avdol, and Araki was like, okay, fine.
Fine.
But now Kakyoin is gone.
You can have one.
Yeah. Wait, Ikks, did you want to come on now because you like Iggy, or is it because you hate Kakyoin? Because he is absent. He is gone.
I love when Kakyoin is suffering. I actually did want to bring up one thing that reminds me of. I was researching the PlayStation game JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage for the Future, based on the arcade fighting game, which was just called JoJo's Venture.
JoJo's Venture is just how Jonathan has all his money, or Joseph has all his money.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an investment portfolio. It's like Wall Street Kid, but as a JoJo's part. Okay, that actually sounds great. Just like using your stand to fucking manipulate the stock market. Crash the country, baby. In Kakyoin's story mode, while he's in the hospital, he again gets found and haunted by Death 13.
Oh, shit.
You never see it, but you can imagine that's what fucking took him so long.
That fucking baby.
That fucking baby.
That baby
How did that baby get to the hospital?
That's a great question. I guess you'll have to play the fighting game and find out.
Crawled all the way through the desert.
This isn't a 100% run podcast until you finish the fighting game and all the story modes.
A few years ago, a friend of mine for Christmas gave us a Super Nintendo cart that contains a ROM hack of some random Japan-only RPG that has been turned into a Stardust Crusaders RPG.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
You love to see it.
The way you navigate in the game is kind of like almost like a dungeon crawler, like those really old ones where you move tile by tile in first person, but it's a side scroller, and you can make Jotaro fucking go to a bathroom and just take a piss, and that does something for you. Yeah.
The realism.
I think it does something for a lot of
fucking yeah, okay. Fucking Fable wishes it could be JoJo ROM hack for the SNES.
It hasn't come up as much in this stretch of episodes we're talking about, but I'm surprised with how many bad toilet encounters Polnareff has had that there hasn't been a toilet stand.
Yeah, that's a great point. It just turns completely into a Dave Pilkley book or something. Captain Underpants shows up as a stand.
I'm just thinking that it would be a bottle episode it just takes entirely in a bathroom stall.
Yeah, the bathroom stall itself is the stand.
Yeah.
You get trapped in there.
The stand user is the guy giving out like the mints at the attendant.
Yeah.
Stand is activated when you accept a mint.
So, Thoth. I want to talk a bit more about Thoth because I always want to. I don't want to talk about anything but
Big fan of Thoth
anymore.
Okay, I just want to say one quick thing about Indul, and also, do you think Dio like privately got really pissed off / threw something at a wall when he like only managed to recruit the water controlling stand after they got out of the ocean? And the stone and sand controlling stand perished in the ocean before they reached the desert. Like, really, just kind of a tactical misstep there. I realize it would have mixed up your naming schemes and introductions a little bit, buddy, but come on, Dio. You gotta strategize.
I think Dio thought it was worth it, you know? Like, if Dio cares about anything, he cares about aesthetics, you know?
Yeah,
He's
that's a
got to
great point.
keep these things orderly.
That's a great point. It's not like Dio has ever had, like, a straightforward plan. Does he even have a plan right now, or is he just fucking around, honestly?
Dio is the guy that does, like, sort his bookshelves by spine color. He's that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that explains it. Oh, yeah, another thing in my notes from that first episode with Iggy. Lucky for Iggy, the uglier a dog is, the less likely Araki is to kill it.
So the cuter Iggy gets,
he's getting into the danger zone.
The closer he is to death.
It is true. Like the weird bee stung looking like swelled face dog from the ghost village. We don't even get to see that dog die. It's already dead before we get there.
Yeah.
There's also a Part 8 dog who's just like, first time they were revealed, everyone was just like, wow, Rocky forgot how to draw dogs. And that dog has survived, so yeah, holds true.
Wow.
But yeah, Pocky, super cute dog, dead as shit.
Yeah, just instantly.
God. What a nightmare that part is.
Yeah, just melts.
Oops, ripped my dog's head off.
God.
Whoops.
Oops, all dog gore.
So anyway, yeah, Thoth.
Dog gore and Thoth.
I love the way that Thoth's ability all highlights the compression of time that comic panels are. Like, you could think of it as keyframes or TV cuts, but there's just something about it's the way that comics work that set it apart. Like,
yeah, it's pretty good.
The work that the stand user has to do, that Boingo has to do, or that has to be done against Boingo, either way, is determining the action in between to make what appears to be happening actually happen or not. And that is so, it's why I keep mentioning the work of Grant Morrison, because you see this in like the incredible 3 timeline, one page spread of the like Watchmen tribute issue of Multiversity, or just the way that panels are used in We 3, if you want to talk about dog violence. So maybe I shouldn't be talking about Grant Morrison. Maybe I should be talking about Frank Quitely, because he drew both those. But I think it is significant that shows up more clearly, at least potentially, in animation than in its native, like, a comic within a comic. You're doing the work and you don't see it as a separate thing, whereas a still comic in a moving like piece of animation, you do see the line. So maybe not better, but it's certainly a different experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also like the primary thing is that they do have a hard time telling like how much time is passing between panels, and it's pretty good. Also, like, damn, is there any stand that loves just fucking with their user as much as Thoth? There's another stand in a later part that's just like, it's kind of like if Thoth could talk, and it's just kind of like, hey, fuck you, man, I'm neutral. I'm going to keep giving your opponent advice too. It's pretty great. Straight up, the user begging the stand to shut up, and the stand being like, man, fuck you.
We've already gotten a couple of stands that have their own personality in part 3, but later parts go even harder into the idea that some stands are just their own person. And I always like when that concept pops up, because Araki seems to not be able to make a stand with a personality that isn't like a sassy little shit.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Even when they're friendly ones, like, they got a lot of attitude. They got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, there's one in the next part that's just dropping F-bombs all the time, and it's pretty
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Okay, just making a little note. Anne is a stand. Okay, got it. Cool.
Like, this is the first full rewatch I've done of part 3, but I've seen certain parts of it, multiple times for whatever reason. But every time I reach, like, this point of the show, I always forget that Anne even existed.
Yeah, like, sorry, Anne, you didn't actually do a plot point.
For some reason, like, the first time I watched it, I always thought, like, oh, is Anne going to somehow end up being, like, related to Dio or something?
I can't believe Anne was Dio the entire time. If you spell Anne backwards, it's Dio.
I think it's Enna.
It's Enya.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit!
Yeah, what if she was just, like, in disguise or something? That would have
Or
been
just
funny.
Enyaba's daughter with the even more fucked up stand, Justice 2.
Oh, shit. The hanged woman.
Man, that sucks to have a brother like that.
That's why she ran away!
It sucks to have a brother like a lot of characters in JoJo's.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, another important note from the Thoth episode. Wow, off-screen JoJo sounds way the hell more fun than on-screen JoJo. Like, damn, I want to see you doing these fucking tricks, bro.
Yeah.
There's one theory that Polnareff was just lying to try to gauge him because he suspected him, but it's fucking Polnareff.
Polnareff is too stupid.
That does not... Yeah, it's impossible. Like, even at the end, he still didn't quite get it.
I don't think anyone got it by the end. Like,
yeah, it was pretty great. These little occasional self-erasing adventurers are pretty good.
And it's so much better when, like, the heroes know explicitly, you will face this many people. There are X number of trials ahead of you. So at the end of the day, they're just, like, counting on their fingers like, oh well, whatever. Guess he never found us.
I do like the blend of, like, stand users that are actually a major evil threat and stand users that are just kind of bitches like the sun.
yeah. I like that means that stand users aren't so common that Dio can always choose the best of the best. It kind of feels like he's just getting whatever fucking stand user he can find, and it's like, okay, this one sucks, but I need X amount of guys to stop these guys until I'm stronger.
Until my left thumb can heal real good.
It's his weak point. What if somebody punches his left thumb really hard?
Dio, what are you literally ever talking about?
This stretch of episodes is also the first time we get to see what Dio's up to in a long time.
Yeah.
He's just fucking around.
Moping, yeah.
Yeah.
Clinging to bookshelves like Spider-Man.
It really seems like he has no plan. He's just living his damn life.
Yeah, maybe he learned the lesson of caution too well from Win Knight's Law. Like, you can be, like, making phone calls and trying to do some moves. You don't just have to hide in a hole until JoJo's dead. You can do something.
Aside from sending stand users out to fight JoJo in the gang, the only thing he's done is chop off the head of one Speedwagon Foundation guy.
Get him.
Was that Dio, or was that in Duel?
I think that was Dio, wasn't it?
Okay.
And then he immediately went to go read some books or something after he chopped that dude's head off, if I remember correctly.
He's got a lot of books. It's going to
take many books that have come out since I've been dead. And I'm a big reader now, suddenly, apparently.
What does Dio like to read?
That's a great question. Probably, like, crime novels that he tries to imitate to make himself feel smart, but he's never really, like... He can't really set up the thing, so he just ends up sending a band of murderers after his opponents.
Dio reads mystery novels, and if he figures it out before the detective in the book, he keeps it, and if not, he burns it, and denies that book ever existed.
Yep. Sounds right to me. Man, what a bastard. Good thing they're hunting this guy down.
Okay, missed opportunity in the Anubis fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Polnareff says that his sword launch thing is so secret that JoJo doesn't know it's possible, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fucking gun sword.
And so Anubis learns it when Shaka dies, but here's the missed opportunity. He never uses it himself against JoJo when he is possessing Polnareff.
Yeah, it's like setting up a Chekhov gun, but then the Chekhov gun is out of bullets. So it's like, oh, well,
Jojo does see it fail to work on Khan, demonstrating Anubis's whole, I never lose to the same thing twice.
Right.
But, like...
It's just weird for him to specifically say, even Jojo hasn't seen me do this.
Right,
like, you're
right.
traveling with 5 guys. It's just such a weird foreshadowing thing that doesn't actually come out to anything.
It would have been interesting to see what kind of defense he could have come up with for it, even with, like, having an inkling that such a thing is possible. But, yeah.
I bet he would have done the thing where he just, like, tightens his muscles around it so it can't be pulled back out. And it would be like, I wanted you to do that the whole time, actually.
The king of Pilates, Mr. Jojo.
Now you're disarmed and I'm only majorly wounded, just as planned.
For some reason, I keep imagining, like, he'd shoot the little gun sword and the blade would bounce, ricochet off a bunch of things, and then he would just, like, catch it in his teeth or something.
Yeah.
He would just bite down on the sword right before it goes down his throat or something.
Yeah, but don't you want to see that? Come on.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That attack also rules in the fighting game because it just bounces like crazy.
Oh, man.
It's way cool. It's way better in the fighting game, let's be honest. Especially since it can do the Magic Fighting Game's physics things of bouncing off the imaginary sky and wall boundaries. I have another interesting fact from that episode that I was researching. They were talking about like how beautiful the sword is. Mm-hmm. At one point they said hamon as in ripple, and that's like the word for the wave that appears along the sword, the tempering pattern along the blade. Which is interesting because ken can mean both sword and fist in Japanese. I don't know if that's an intentional thing from the beginning or just a nice little bonus bit of wordplay, but yeah, right. The ripple along the blade as well.
This stretch of episodes does have multiple different, like, either things are set up or there's just something that, like, if it had been taken to, like, its logical conclusion, there's just missed opportunities. One of the big ones that I mentioned, old Joseph never gets aged down to young Joseph, and that sucks.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens in the fighting game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's somehow still a debuff, even though it's like, especially since young Joseph is also literally a hidden character in that game.
Ha.
So it's just like, man, just change my character selection. Yeah, that would have been good shit. The trope of, haha, I'm going to de-age you and make you weak as you were, and just turning around being like, fuck you, I was a badass back then too. It's another good series, good manga that I would recommend and hope gets an anime at some point, Mashal. Terrible title. The pun works a lot better in Japanese, where it's like mahosho and muscle instead of magic and muscle. But anyway, his name's way better. He has a similar power set to Lessie, but his name is Sitter Baby, and it's very good. And he does the same shit on some other guys and just gets destroyed before the end of the chapter in much the same way by fucking Baby using baby gravity magic to break his spine. And it's just like, yeah, neat shit. It's just always heartwarming to see someone using de-aging magic, because you just know, like with Alessi, it's like it's obvious because he fucking talks about it, and also he just exudes it from every pore. But you just know they're the worst. They have to be the worst.
Oh, yeah.
What are you using that for? Get out of here.
I'm using it to keep my vegetables fresh. They spoil. I use a little age magic. They're perfect again.
Yeah, I'm sure you fucking do, and that's why you dress in a baby bonnet and are sucking on a pacifier.
Out of everything of JoJo I've seen, probably the stand that I think is the coolest, that gets
Absolutely.
used in the least interesting way. I just want him to age walls so he can just walk through shit and stuff.
Yeah, use your damn brain, Alessi. Don't just be a creep. Why do the shittiest people get the coolest stands? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Growing up, Egyptian and Greek mythology were one of the first few types of stories that I got into. And Set is kind of lesser referred to, not as many myths, probably because some rival cult destroyed him or something. But I remember seeing the title Set's Alessi, and I was like, oh, cool, Set. I can't wait to see what kind of cool and respectable and likable powers he'll have. And then I woke up 10 minutes later and there was just a 2-chapter long blank in my memory. Skipped right over Mariah by going to that, though. Sorry, Mariah. Oh, the first thing in my notes I have for Mariah is, oh, girl, oh, leg. Because, boy.
That's pretty much the author's note, too.
Yeah. Ooh, girl.
Whoa. It's very rare, at least up through part 5, for JoJo to be like, "Ooh, here's the hot girl character."
Here's the hot one.
It's so concerned with so many other things that it usually doesn't go down that route too much.
As far as the hot ladies we've had so far, it's really unusual for a villain to not be a monster.
Yeah.
Most of our villains, most of our characters, by a large proportion, are men, and there's a lot of them are just weird sicko freaks. You can tell just by looking at them. But there's some hunky boys in there. There's some Dans of Steel, right? But the ladies so far are just the one.
They're just babulars.
Everyone else is an Enya or like the slug living inside the Empress's user.
Yeah, that was good shit. What the fuck? Man, that made me completely forget what I was going to say. Fucking Yerk stand user. I'll just pick something from my notes at random here. Let's see. Imagine Mariah in modern day in the era of searching for a phone charger.
Her stand sort of exists, just like the stickers that are supposed to look like an outlet that people put up in airports just to make people angry.
God, that's exactly what this stand is.
But instead of making you angry, it makes a truck crush you to death.
Oh, here's another thing from my notes. Should I tell the story of the worst bathroom I've ever been in?
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's this fucking truck stop. Well, it wasn't a truck stop. If it was that, it would be even worse. It was like a road stop for like a environmental mindness exhibit or something. They basically just had a blade of a wind turbine outside, and it was like, oh, wow, fancy. And you go in the building, and it's all like super new, super fancy, which really makes this next part even more confusing as you step into the bathroom and see that the stalls, all the walls are like counter high. Like you can just, anyone can see you doing your business just walking by. I don't know why they did that. But the law of JoJo's, I guess, demands that at some point in his life, Polnareff ended up in America in that bathroom. So yeah, evil people do exist, I guess is what I'm saying, and they're bathroom designers.
Some people want to hide their shame. Other people just want to hide their shins. That's it. Just the shins.
Yeah, God.
Like, you gotta duck. You gotta crouch, I guess. But
seriously. But even that doesn't work because the people walking by aren't crouching.
Oh, man.
They can just look down and be like, haha, hey, crouching while pissing, huh?
There's wheelchair safe, and there's only safe from people in wheelchairs.
Yes, exactly, absolutely. Eat your heart out, Polnareff.
I think that brings us to Darby in our leapfrog way.
Oh, yeah.
So after recording this episode and before now, because that's how time works, I went back and I watched the OVA version of Darby, and I was really struck by how similar it is. I was expecting more difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they were definitely going for that because that OVA is like a possibly even a little bit more well known than the Part 3 manga itself. Like, it's just has gotten a few people into this, so they probably wanted to stick close to it and be like, hey, look, we remember the thing too, see?
It's trimmed down for time. It's a lot shorter, but we don't lose any content, just a lot of the tension-building pauses, a lot of reaction shots, a lot of restatement of things that are already said.
Yeah, of course. But you still get all that good, juicy anime guy freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. Not quite as much, but like they saved time for the final freakout for sure. But just that 90s OVA aesthetic, though, is so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, they look weird, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's good weird.
When Joseph juices up the scotch glass, and you can tell it's perfectly full by the way it is so smooth and reflective. It's just like glowing from the sunset. That is good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good example of art being like hyper real.
Yes.
Just
yes.
Rather than trying to look real, art should really try to look what we think reality looks like when it's really not just like a dull glow, but like a fucking glowing reflection.
It's why anime food looks so good.
Delicious anime food. The perfect amount of soft and firm.
Or like sunsets or the rain, or why it's so dangerous,
Or frogs.
so very tricky when anime is used for horny reasons. I get it.
The danger zone.
A person can get lost in that. Yeah, okay.
That's the fucking cliff into the uncanny valley. You gotta watch out for that. Mr. Joester.
Yeah, I've never actually watched much of the OVA, so I was just briefly like scanning through the Darby episode, and yeah, wow, some of these shots look really fucking good.
Right?
You know, we pointed out before in previous episodes that yeah, a lot of the characters look a little different, or their color schemes are different, but it just kind of feels like for the OVA, it was like they were all in a fighting game and you just picked one of their alts. Mm-hmm. That's how all these guys look right now.
Yeah, totally. And that's also interesting because, like, I don't know if he was doing it all the time, but definitely for more modern parts, Araki has talked about not really having a set color scheme for any of his characters and instead focusing on super strong shapes and designs, which is also why in the anime it does the cool fucking, okay, dramatic lighting mode now. We're all wearing different clothes suddenly, which is like the coolest shit. Also, the sky is purple or whatever. It's very stylish. I think that's probably a big part of why so many JoJo's characters are so immediately distinctive, even if they do tend to be a little overcomplicated, is focusing on weird, unique shapes instead of weird, unique colors, because that requires that they have the right paints or the right pigments or, in fact, the right eyes of the person watching. And that's how you end up with hat hair.
I love the hat hair.
The hat hair is so good. I'm surprised that more designs don't rip off hat hair, honestly.
I feel like the only time I see the hat hair thing come up is because it is an anime or something else that is explicitly going, hey, look, this is the Jotaro homage. There are multiple fighting games, especially ones from like the late 90s, early 2000s, where it's just like, we added Jotaro in. That's him. There he is.
There he is, look.
Like, Fighting Vipers, I think, has a Jotaro clone in there, I think.
Featuring JoJo from the Devil May Cry series. Let's see what other kind of stuff I have in my notes here. Let's see. Cheating is cool and normal because it's like war. Man, just go fish. It's like, imagine playing with Darby and he's going off on this fucking tirade. Take your turn. It's real impressive that you made me think that you had fours and you didn't, I guess. Just go fish already, goddamn. Also, if this were a part or two later, I think the explanation for how he got the cat to take the fish in the right order would have been like 4 or 5 pages.
Oh, yeah.
Increasingly high-stakes music over stupider and stupider, smaller and smaller games, like the Beetle fight I mentioned. I can't wait to hear the music they put over that.
A paperback writer, I think.
God, thanks. Go away. Let's talk about Part 8 again so Grant can't talk again.
I hear there's rock people or something.
The rock people are kind of interesting because they are kind of like... You know how in Cars' backstory, there's like a whole fucking Pillarmen civilization?
Oh, yeah.
The rock people are interesting because it's never really directly said this, but they do kind of seem like if the Pillar people hadn't been fucking wiped out by Cars.
Okay.
So definitely going back and exploring alternate versions of previous ideas.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to that stuff eventually.
Okay, Ironicus, can you behave now?
I'll try.
Right at the start of recording our Darby the Gambler episode, you know, Grant was talking about how he's heard that episode talked up a lot. It's one of the bigger iconic part 3 things.
Totally.
And the Darby fight especially feels like probably one of the bigger examples of the earlier parts of JoJo kind of figuring out what later JoJo fights would be like.
Yeah, totally. Touching on ideas that he would love and revisit later.
Like, I think that's one of the bigger reasons why I like Darby the Gambler. On its own, it's just a really entertaining quote-unquote fight they have, but...
Yeah, especially like the whole last quarter of it is just Darby having a meltdown.
Yeah. But it's also just really cool to kind of see, like, the inception of a lot of ideas that come up later.
Putting higher and higher stakes on, like, a supposedly low-stakes situation, like betting on a cat.
For your soul.
Yeah, exactly. That just like contrast and friction between like super mundane things and like super natural things, I think is a big part of JoJo's.
I feel like this becomes more and more prevalent in later parts, like in parts 6 and up, but even in a little bit in 4 and especially in part 5, it feels more and more like Araki really gets into the idea or the mood of every fight should feel like a nightmare. Like,
Yeah, honestly.
the logic just barely holds together, and everything is so high stakes and stressful in situations where it shouldn't be, and it just feels like when you have it's like when you have a nightmare that was really scary, and you try to explain it after you've woken up, and you just cannot put any of the fucking pieces together.
Yeah, totally. I think that also gets helped along in later parts by just like the narrator telling you less and less, like
Yeah.
and like the truth behind the Stand's powers getting revealed later and later. Like there's definitely at least one in part 8 where the Stand and the Stand user never say anything, so we're not really even sure what the fuck happened.
Oh man.
I love the narrator. I think the narrator might be one of my favorite characters.
Is so excited.
I just love imagining this dude as an active, actual presence with interiority who's just clawing at the script to try to find something he gets to talk about. You shut up, Joseph. This one's mine. I'm talking about the geography today. Shut up.
I get to talk about your Stand. Yeah, it's pretty great, too, in the first 3D JoJo's fighting game, which I think was on the PS3. Rather than Iggy having a voice like he does in this anime, the narrator would just describe everything he was doing and saying, and it was pretty great. But now he's a fucking Paw Patrol.
Yeah, what's up with Iggy saying Iggy? Anyway, why does Iggy say the word
like
Iggy?
a Pokemon.
Iggy.
What, you've never used the word Grant?
I mean, when I'm talking about, like, grant writing or grant proposals...
It's just like that. Moving on. No further
Whenever
questions.
I talk about Civil War generals, the name does come up.
I think it's just the cuter you get, the more like a Pokemon you are, and that just causes you to say your own
That does
name.
check out, yeah.
Yeah.
Just something deep in the lizard brain. It's like, well, I know my own name, so I know what I can say.
That was in his first appearance. So he was trying to force the issue. He was trying to make himself cuter.
And it worked. Look at him now.
He summoned the sweet dewy eyes.
Now he's little and round.
Cast the spell of little and round. Line of the episode, though, had I known, I would have freaked. When JoJo doesn't look at his fucking cards. It's also a real good John Boy's video about poker, professional poker. And my favorite segment in it is about a guy who does exactly that for an entire final tournament round and just completely cleans up. It's disgusting. He just does the same thing 8 rounds in a row, and somehow...
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is highly realistic.
Absolutely. It's the most realistic series of all time. Where else can you see this many dogs die?
In real life, most dogs do die. It's true.
Did you know?
On a long enough timeline.
Fun fact. Dogs die.
All but one.
Dogs must die.
There's one immortal dog, and I am lucky enough to have her.
Phew. Boingo time again.
Oh, yeah.
Boingo is back, baby.
Isn't Boingo so much more fun the second time around?
It really is.
Well, you also get more Boingo this time. First time was really more Oingo.
That's true. That's true.
Also, do you think Oingo would get mad if you just pointed out to him that he's just a worse version of Yellow Temperance?
Could he get mad because he has no idea who that is? I think it might just slide off him.
Like, that would probably sting more if they had ever actually met and he didn't, just get murdered or whatever happened to that dude.
Yeah, there's no way that when Dio's hiring yet even more Stan users to do his bidding that he tells them that basically everyone he hires gets brutally injured or murdered.
Yeah, it's just like telemarketing managers.
After watching this return episode, I understand Oingo's absolute faith in the power and infallibility of his stand. I still do not understand why Oingo thought he was hot shit.
Yeah, some people are just like that, I guess.
Like you're basically limited to only shape-shifting into other guys who are just as huge and buff as you. Granted, there are a lot of those guys.
Yeah, that's not narrowing it down much.
The only person he couldn't convincingly shapeshift his face into is Kakyoin, because he's a little bit on the smaller side compared to the rest of the gang, but...
I want to see him turn into Enyaba and just have Enyaba's face on a huge buff body. And also Enyaba's hair is like all tall and forward because it's just his hat.
Right, yeah, he just has the super tall hair all the time.
What if he turned into Polnareff and it was the haircut, but he also had like a hair visor like his hat?
That would be very, very good.
Maybe the hat's the stand.
Is Cappy a stand?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. There are like so many different weird rules and also like weird powers that don't really even like make sense together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a hat, so I can possess people. What? Hang on. Never mind. You do you, Cappy.
It just is.
Watch you be a frog.
Boingo's way more fun the second time around, and also Whole Horse is probably the funniest guy to pair
Yeah.
with Boingo and specifically Thoth.
Oh, absolutely.
And also it's just very funny to see Whole Horse, a dude who hates being the number one guy and just always wants to be the backup, so desperate to find anybody to partner up with because everyone's gotten so fucked up and owned. Like he's running out of partners to even have.
Yeah, his fucking shtick is wearing thin.
He's gonna just find a guy with a regular gun. Just
Yeah,
not
seriously.
a stand user, just a guy with a gun.
Yeah. Shoot normal bullets to distract people from my curvy bullets.
Yeah, all in all, also in this episode, pretty fucking piss poor job of being able to control his bullets.
Yeah. They just went on their own accord into his face.
Yeah, the way they come through the page really is just like fucking chef's kiss.
Yeah. Again, because JoJo and the gang still have no idea that Thoth was here at all.
That's a great point. Yeah, they just thought it was Whole Horse being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Slash Polnareff being a fucking idiot.
So, like, for them, they just had a really bad day where they got ran over by a truck.
Yeah.
No, this is not the same day as Darby because Darby had the sunset. Okay, this
Yeah.
is a separate day.
Yeah, you just got your soul saved from a poker chip and then you immediately get run over by a truck. That sucks.
God. Fucking survive a submarine crash only for a fucking puddle to slash my eyeballs out. It's hard being a JoJo. You'll survive the weight of the entire sun being dropped on you and then get killed by someone whose stand power is like you get an ingrown hair.
But it's the worst ingrow hair.
If right into your
ever.
heart.
God, that could be a stand power.
It's basically just the heart ring.
Yeah.
There's precedent. It's fine.
So quick question for both of you. If you heard the phrase, your name's attack will be your last, how would you not just run? How do you not hear how wrong that's going to go for you and just run?
Yeah.
Like, oh good, this will be my last attack in this battle, after which I will have victory. I'm sure that's what it means.
Yay.
I will I will have a peaceful life forever.
Victory forever. Anyway, rest in peace, Whole Horse. You're kind of an idiot.
Shot yourself in the face and lived.
I mean, he's done it before.
Oh yeah, I guess he did. He was just like twitching and being an idiot.
No one has survived Whole Horse's bullets more than Whole Horse.
That's a great point. Has anybody else even been hit by them, actually?
Avdol is second place in the rankings for
Yeah.
surviving Whole Horse's bullets.
He got grazed by a bullet.
Whole Horse's KD ratio is literally like 0.02 for the two self KOs, and that's it.
Yeah, how long has he been doing this for? Like, did he just recently get the stand or something, and this was his first assignment?
Rocky's been doing side stories. I want to do see a side story of Whole Horse before all this shit, when he like built up this clearly great and clearly very effective number 2 strategy.
He's just been coasting his entire life, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
He hasn't
Yeah.
done anything.
How did he even end up in Egypt?
Yeah. He just put up this whole cowboy aesthetic and then tried to play it off like he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's wearing all this cowboy shit, and he's from like Queens or something.
Yeah.
Well, I have a magic gun now. I guess I'll have to be a cowboy. It's like, what other choice do I have? I don't like gangster aesthetics, so like...
You know, I bet Whole Horse is like a rich kid who's bored and doesn't know what to do, and so he's picked up this whole wandering cowboy aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. He needs burned through like almost all his fucking inheritance just getting plane tickets to different shitty places where he's like, I'm gonna make my fortune.
This would have been a very different story if Whole Horse weren't introduced before Reservoir Dogs hit theaters. Imagine Whole Horse in a skinny black tie, dressed like he belongs in a ska band.
Okay, but talking about the impact of Reservoir Dogs on manga, did you know that the character Sanji from One Piece is based on Steve Buscemi's character in that?
Huh. All right.
I don't know how, but apparently.
Huh.
Man, why isn't Steve Buscemi in JoJo's? Just like name and everything. It's not like he's not a huge film nerd anyway.
What would his character's stand be?
Who cares? It'd just be
Play
Steve.
Iggy. Just look at him.
Oh no, you're right. He's
Oh,
Iggy.
damn, you're right. He already is
You're
in it.
right.
They'd mocap him like
We-
like King Kong or something.
Yeah,
How do you do, fellow animals?
we gotta go back and edit the last podcast where we were theorizing about a Hollywood adaptation of JoJo and put Steve Buscemi in there.
Yes, yes.
The more time goes on, the more likely that is to happen, and that's depressing.
We thought about it for a while and it was depressing.
Yeah.
But also I kind of want to see it.
Hell yeah.
Only if the same studio then goes on to do like fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! And all these other things that definitely only work in manga.
I mean, have you seen the Netflix adaptation of fucking Death Note?
I have not, but
It's something. I mean, they had the inspired casting choice of Willem Dafoe as can't remember his name right now. The fucking the devil guy.
Dude, you know the
dude.
guy.
you know,
guy.
I'm something of a Grim Reaper myself.
And then they only have him voice him when you should have just
What
used
a
his face.
missed opportunity. Seriously. You're gonna hire a guy with that face and then not use it?
Yeah.
Come on. Who did you say for Cockewing?
Oh, did we even have Cockewing? I think we
Cockewing was the rich girl from across town.
I have a pitch for you.
okay.
Scarlett Johansson. She can play anything.
Yeah.
Resignedly, yeah.
Yeah, she's a really good actor. Yeah. She can do. I really liked her in Don Chan. Yeah.
I like how some of them it's super obvious what musical reference it is, and then others it's like, what? Hang on, what are you saying? Like in part 8, there's definitely a stand who, rather than being called Nat King Cole, is named Nut King Call.
The Nut King's call.
The call of the Nut King.
It's his mission. To
That's
nut.
my favorite Tchaikovsky number.
Yeah, it's my favorite Mario game.
Nut King call.
How do you wrap these things up anyway? You have to
We
kill a
usually just
dog.
peter out and
Yeah.
then do plugs. So
Cool.
Yeah, basically.
Cool. Right on target.
So Ikks, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us. This was fun.
anytime.
I do enjoy getting a chance to I meant to talk about this, or here's an idea I had a few days after recording.
Yeah, totally.
Just cleaning house, I guess. And thank you for joining and bringing your perspective. Where can people find you do things that you want to be found that you do?
Oh, that's terrifying. Well, I guess they can find me. Probably the best place is going to be on Twitter at Ixnay, IKKSNAY, and Patreon at Ikks, IKKS. You don't have to support me on Patreon. That's just the place where I most commonly remember to actually upload things.
But I mean, it's a nice thing to do.
You could buy me a damn pizza. You could buy me a damn pizza and I could turn into a JoJo's character because it's like cursed or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, here comes Dio's new henchman. He's a pizza delivery guy whose stand power is making cursed pizzas that give you upset tummies. Can't fight Dio if you're shitting your guts out.
And this is the one where Dio was really just like, okay, fuck, I have to actually start putting an effort into hiring these people. I can't keep doing this. I have to actually start interviewing these people. God damn it.
That's another guy Whole Horse would pair up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whole Horse would be like, you see this guy?
Whole Horse would take the cursed pizza, dress up as the pizza delivery guy himself, and then when he opens up the pizza box, he would just have his hand going from underneath it
Oh my
with
God,
the gun
you're
already
right.
at the ready.
That's great. Surprise,
Like a
bitch.
hotter, much greasier version of like the hole in the movie theater popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
Oh, another piece of evidence for the whole literally just got a stand theory. Like it's a cool graphical effect when he summons it like into his hand, but you'd think he's fucking it up and he's supposed to be summoning it like, into his hand, like to hold, but he's kind of bad at it, so he just kind of merges it with his flesh. It's just like, whoops, a little bit off target. It's just about 1 inch back from where it should be.
Yeah, how much practice does you have to do to make your stand appear where you want it to?
Yeah, like, if you don't want to be giving a dramatic speech and have your stand be, like, doing a fucking Oblivion NPC glitching through you.
Yeah, Star Platinum's just halfway through a building, just violently, like, vibrating and flopping about.
It's okay. He likes it. He loves doing that.
And then he does a really overdramatic sitting down animation.
Would that count as damage? And if so, if you no-clip your stand halfway through a wall, do you just explode?
That's the power of my stand Gary's mod.
Oh my god, yeah, the Gary's mod stand just lets you no-clip other people halfway through things.
God, that's so bad. God, there are a few other mangas I read where people with teleportation powers totally do that, and it's like, man, you're a dick, huh? For one of them, it's pretty cool. In a character in Delicious in Dungeon Meshi, they will teleport people and just leave behind like a perfect statue made out of whatever they got teleported into. So initially people are like, oh, do you have petrification magic? It's like, you just turned that guy into stone. And it's like, no, she just teleported him into a random stone wall nearby and teleported the stone that wasn't there out. So presumably that guy's just in there suffocating in the worst way.
Yes, the boulder of Amontillado.
Yeah. Instant Amontillado. You don't have to fucking wait for the mortar anymore.
Wow, YouTube is recommending me Debunking Araki Forgot Part 3.
They'd hurt
It
us.
knows! It knows!
With 2.4 million views.
Like, we basically started the episode, but like, I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not gonna watch what it's debunking.
Yeah, I don't
The
need...
only debunking you need is like, take a breath and chill, man. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's fun to think, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, or, oh, I'm kind of disappointed that. But do we need to go beyond that point? Do we really?
Anime sins.
I'm shocked it's only 22 minutes long, because usually a YouTube video with a title like that is going to be 5 hours long.
Yo,
Well, the
God.
original Araki Forgot is probably 5 hours for long, and then this is a response to that, like, hey,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Hey, man.
Okay. You want a drink?
You know what people don't get enough after a certain age? An afternoon nap. Would you like to try it?
Oh, I nap so much, and it's great.
I keep debating if I should get a hammock, because I'm at the age where that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Hammock sounds fucking good.
We're also at a state in the world where it's like, man, what are we even putting up appearances for anybody else anymore? Just do what you want.
Yeah.
Who's gonna judge? Maintenance guy? Maintenance guy is trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's the power of my stand, banana hammock.
Especially now that it's a different maintenance guy who isn't racist. That's fun.
Oh, God.
Ooh,
Yeah, upgrade.
Yeah.
It's a big time upgrade.
Spent my apartment upgrade points on a not racist maintenance man.
This is a really exciting and wide-ranging plug section.
Yeah, we're plugging everything from me to the content that we were talking about before to other completely unrelated things to hammocks.
I highly recommend my not racist maintenance guy. Check him out. You can find him at where I live. Please don't come here.
If you enjoyed today's episode, maybe you too would enjoy not being racist.
I can recommend that.
Experts agree.
I will plug being not racist.
Yeah, let's all plug that. I'm going to plug not being transphobic.
Yeah, that too.
How about you, Grant?
I'm selfish. I'm not plugging nothing.
All right, well, bye then.
Actually, looking at the calendar, but when this comes out, I think we'll be wrapping up the current season on Sex Archie or near it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe this time Archie will finally have sex.
We are way past that.
point.
We crossed that bridge a long time back.
Like episode 1, minute 1.
The question is whether he'll have sex with the alien Mothmen that are
Ooh.
threatening the town of Riverdale this
Now
season.
I'm interested.
Hell yes.
You bring up Mothman and dating, and then it's like, all right.
Jughead got abducted by aliens in the mid-season break cliffhanger, so I'm
Nice.
real excited to see how that shakes out. And again, with the lead-in time, this show has people will know by now.
Kind of like how JoJo's is becoming just a JoJo's genre. Would you say that's just becoming a Riverdale genre?
I mean, it started as a big pastiche, really reclaiming the teen drama, the teen melodrama genre that grew out of the teen comedy hijinks of the 1940s that
And then the writers
Archie
were
was
just
part
like,
of.
hey, wait a minute, this shit's fucking fun to write. Let's make aliens invade.
Yeah. and then they spent 3 years getting bigger and bigger, and then they're like, we can't keep doing this. We got to get weirder and weirder. And that's why the fourth season was very psychological and just creepy shit. And now you merge those two, and we get, ancient Mothmen mummified inside casks of maple syrup. And that's where we're at.
If you like JoJo's, you'll love Riverdale or Riverwood or whatever it is.
You fucking might. Sex Archie, check it out. We have a lot of fun.
I saw someone on Twitter compare Beastars to Riverdale as being just, what if Riverdale, but the entire time Jughead might eat Archie?
Hell yes.
That seems, from what I hear about Riverdale, that sounds plausible.
First season of Beastars, real good. Second season, first season worth watching, though.
If you want that more literally, there is Jughead the Hunger, the comic miniseries where he is a werewolf.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Okay, well...
Yeah.
Shit, you make stupid jokes about anything long enough, you end up actually naming something real.
I'm going to plug one more thing for you. Ikks is also part of 6 Feet Under.
What's that? Is that some kind of podcast where we play tabletop games of a huge variety to help get the word out about them and have creative storytelling and all sorts of inclusive fun?
That's exactly what it is.
Sounds gay.
One of your current recurring roles is as...
I'm a shithead weasel.
Shithead weasel. That's what it says on the call sheet. But
yeah, it's number 1 on the call sheet, but it is shithead weasel.
Overlord Rampal, now taking the name Overlord Savage as we enter the Winter War. As we enter the Winter War, that is the conclusion of our campaign. Very exciting stuff.
The Winter War that hangs heavily over literally all of Mousegard history.
The published books take place a few years afterwards. Our campaign is the 2 years leading up to it, and we're running out of up to it. It's happening. It has actually been
imminent.
Declared in our narrative now.
It's time to polish the cute, tiny little mouse-sized helmets and get ready for some adorable murder.
So again, that's 6feetsunder.com, SIXFEATSUNDER.com.
Yeah, we should do a JoJo's.
We should. I'm sure there are JoJo fan games. I'm sure there are many more games that you could turn into JoJo.
Yeah, like Panic at the Dojo is what came to mind for me.
Ooh, Panic at the JoJo.
Yeah, Panic at the JoJo, exactly.
That's what we're gonna call the episode. We're gonna call up Vel. We're gonna just
this shit writes
entirely
itself.
with Dogs Must Die guests.
Good. It all ties together.
God, we should fucking do that. I should call up Vel. We should do that. Put it on both feeds, cross promote. Jesus, yeah.
It's time to finally answer the age-old fan question of what would Grant and Chip's stands be?
I thought about this a lot, and I still haven't figured it out.
Gex.
Yeah, yep. It's Gex. That's right.
Not even a specific game, just lowercase.
Yeah, it's one of those autonomous stands that has its own personality, and it's just fucking Gex.
It's the worst. You've been cursed. JoJo thinks he was cursed. You've been cursed.
Yeah, I mean, they are all annoying little shits, after all. Instead of sass, you get jokes about the Waltons for some reason.
Yeah.
God. Gex is amazing because he was literally never timely.
The only use for the Gex stand power is just annoying people and wasting their time with referencing like 60s and 70s sitcoms that no one remembers.
Do you think the Gex stand was unlocked when Hermit Purple went in that TV and like freed him from the media dimension?
Yeah.
And he came out and he was like, "Where's Jane Fonda?" And everyone was like, "Nobody fucking gets that."
When's Grace Jones going to retire? She did. It's been many years since.
Get some new goddamn material, Gex.
No matter how many times you just say Rocket Man, it's not going to get any better.
And on that world-shaking revelation, I think it's time for us to wrap up.
Hold on, let me send everyone a picture of Gex.
Cool.
And then
I need to refresh my
right,
memory.
that's it.
No, we need to describe this. If it's not the best picture of Gex I've ever seen, I'm deleting my audio.
there we go.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
like
a
the
it's a
classic.
PNG and everything. It's got transparency. It looks great. It's high
Yeah,
res.
nice work.
He's stepping on the guy that might be his dad murdered by NASA. Maybe not. They're very unclear canonically whether we're supposed to take that seriously or
The
not.
Gex lore.
It's like his dad was beheaded and his body was taken over by his dad's archenemy or something ridiculous like that.
An anime level in a new Gex would be very different today.
It would be so bad though.
It would be so bad.
The anime level in old Gex was bad.
It was really bad. An anime level in a new Gex would essentially be the same as the previous anime level, because there's still people who
think that's what anime is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because their conception of anime is just parodies like that in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm saying the magic words. To be continued. Did I write this note when I was half asleep? What the fuck am I trying to say?